Thank you, Lance. All right, so we've got just a few minutes left, and I'm going to fly through this as quickly as possible so you guys can get back to work. If you have to get up and leave, I understand, but hopefully you can stick around just for a few minutes longer. I just kind of want to real quickly highlight Mary Wells, how it came about. But I think one of the things, there's a lot of learning experiences that came through Mary Wells. It was an event that evolved from Crystal Christmas. My wife and I moved here. My wife grew up here, is from Mary Wells, and has very fond memories of Crystal Christmas. And living in the hill country before moving up here, there were a lot of hill country Christmases where you traveled from town to town, from Kerrville to Comfort to Fredericksburg. Communities of 2,000 and communities of 20,000 who were doing Christmas events. And we've seen as we come here, each year the Christmas spirit just was starting to dwindle. So a couple of years ago, we started talking about how to revive the Christmas spirit in the community. And so what evolved is Mary Wells. And I can tell you that what transpired wasn't even close to what we originally imagined. It was a great, fantastic event, and it was great to see the town come alive for this event. We started through gathering money to create and put decorations into downtown. And downtown is a huge focus and a huge driver for this community. And so we took over the Christmas parade from the Merchants Association, who dissolved, and one of the first things that we wanted to do is obviously move it to a nighttime parade. Our parades consistently have been about 20 or 30 in the past, and it was going to be interesting to see moving it to nighttime if people had the electrical engineering skills, the wherewithal to do this kind of thing. But I can tell you that it's just simply amazing the creativity that developed out of this with the different organizations, and just the excitement, the effort that everybody put into it. We even found a few decorations left over from Crystal Christmas that we were able to salvage. Parker, their staff, their crew took and sandblasted it. They repainted it for us, and then the family spent many hours stringing up those little lights. And so generally all it took was some food and maybe a couple of beers to entice us to come and do that. Here's some more pictures of the parade, and I can tell you that that it's only the beginning. It's only the beginning of what we expect. November 24th, 2018, Mary Wells. We're going to continue to grow it, to expand it, and make it a marquee event for downtown Mineral Wells. Last year we had a couple of food vendors. We had a food truck. It just happens to be that that's Marcelinda's nephew. He's been coming to Mineral Wells periodically after that. It's just some of the most amazing seafood that you will ever eat. Downtown shopping and eating, it was great to see the businesses in downtown open into the night, filling up into the street, overflowing, having craft vendors. We had horse carriage rides and live entertainment. And so last year was just the beginning of some very great things to come through this event and for downtown. All right, so Envision Mineral Wells. I kind of want to re-highlight Envision Mineral Wells. This is a community strategic plan. It's not the city's plan. It's not the chamber's plan. This plan came together by citizens of this community in different facets, different areas, over several meetings to create the goals and the initiatives that would drive Mineral Wells for economic success. So here's kind of a timeline of how it began. It began in September 2015. It was initiated by the city. And a gentleman named Wes Jury, who is retired from the Arlington Chamber, was the facilitator and developer of this plan. We had 3 meetings in which ideas came forward. Those ideas at the very beginning were infinite, limitless. And over the following meeting, those were dwindled down into the top 3 priorities. Over time, it became adopted by the City Council. It became accepted and adopted by the Chamber Board of Directors. And that was kind of one of the things through this process is once we create the plan, who's going to move that plan forward. And just like I often do, and sometimes it gets me in trouble, is I raise my hand and I say, we're going to do it. It really makes sense for the chamber to be doing what Envision Mineral Wells developed. After the plan was adopted, we went to Austin. We took Team Mineral Wells, which consisted of about 20 people, business and community leaders that went down to Austin and met with our elected officials, but also met with different agency leaders. The state has various departments. They have the resources, they have technical support, and they have financial support to help us carry out Envision Mineral Wells. And so since the summer of 2017, we organized 5 different councils based off of these 6 primary focus groups. Those being economic competitiveness, education and workforce, community redevelopment, infrastructure and mobility, quality of life, and promote community pride. So in that process, in the chamber taking it over, we had to reorganize ourselves and expand different councils and groups. And I know it's a little bit hard to read, but prior to that, you only had a couple of layers, and that's been expanded to create these different working groups who will initiate and implement all of the components of Envision Mineral Wells. We created a Governmental Affairs Council. That group is going to be responsible for developing the relationships that are needed with our elected officials and different agencies. We have an Economic Development Council. Through Envision Mineral Wells, there was 4 primary industries that were identified that the community wanted to focus on developing. Those included advanced manufacturing, tourism, aviation, and healthcare. And so the economic development is responsible for gathering those groups together, using them as a steering committee to help move economic development forward in those areas. We also have education and workforce, also a key component to building an economy. That group is again working with partners to analyze and develop the different aspects that can create and develop that workforce and streamline the workforce. That's, you know, it's funny that people will contact me and say, you know what, Ryan, you need to reach out to Amazon and see what we can do to bring them to Mineral Wells. And I would love that, but I don't think we have the capability of filling 50,000 jobs. You know, that's what they're asking for. But every business that relocates wants to know what type of workforce you have, and that is very, very, very important as we move forward. The other components being tourism and hospitality, already active component of the chamber, and then lastly, community redevelopment. So phase 2, that's kind of where we're at. We've been spending a lot of time assessing what we currently have, what's in place, and then implementing. And so I'm going to kind of go through this real quickly, but you can kind of take a look at it. And this highlights what each council is currently working on. Governmental Affairs, one of the things that they're doing is they're hosting a bi-monthly lunch, kind of a series that's at the club. It's a Dutch treat. Anybody's welcome to come. But what it's doing is highlighting the different departments and components of government, and right now they're focused on city. So they've had 3 meetings. They were the airport, Parks and Recreation, Finance, Municipal Court. There's probably another one, but I'm missing. But those will continue on and on, so be paying attention. Here we have tourism and hospitality. This is one of the key components, obviously, for our history. It's very important to our economy. But in going down to Austin, what we learned is that the state conducts a tourism assessment. They only do these about 4 times a year, and it's delivered through the Governor's Office of Economic Development and Tourism. So just a few weeks ago, we had 6 different state agencies here in Mineral Wells, and we organized a trip and experience to show them everything that we have as it relates to tourism. And so in about 8 weeks, they estimated that they will have us a report that we can begin to use and really focus and develop our strategy for in marketing and promotion, in developing and attracting different businesses, attractions, putting those into downtown. How does that fit in? And so it was great. And one of the things that's really been exciting as we do these assessments, like Texas Downtown Association, like Texas, the tourism through Travel Texas, is They love Mineral Wells. They love Palapinta County. And they're excited for us. They can't wait to see what this community will look like in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And they believe in us and they support us. And so it provides encouragement, it provides motivation for me, and I hope it does you too. Economic development. As I mentioned, there's 4 different clusters that are working together, trying to bring together to help drive and building the economy around those areas. One of the other things is a bioeconomy project. We are in the initial steps of doing what's called biochar. Biochar is a component, it is a chemical process of taking ag waste and finding alternative uses for it. And so one of the things that we're looking at is trying to build this bioeconomy or this biochar development initiative centrally located out of Mineral Wells. It is a regional component, is a regional approach. We have different stakeholders throughout the area who are a part of this project, but obviously being kind of a breakthrough, in terms of a business, a sustainable business. And like I said, we're on the ground floor working through that. And it has certainly been interesting, but it also comes with a lot of challenges in trying to grow something out of nothing. Education and workforce. These guys are currently working on doing a SWOT analysis. This group will be sending out invitations. They've already conducted one through advanced manufacturing and healthcare. But if you get an invitation, we would certainly appreciate. This group would really like to get your feedback on what some of the challenges that you see with the workforce. What are some things that can be developed that might help you in training, educating, and building the workforce to support our current jobs and future jobs. Community redevelopment is kind of where downtown is housed. We have a downtown revitalization task force who's working a lot of things focused on downtown development. They initiated the downtown assessment, doing an inventory list of current amenities. I constantly hear about, we need more things for kids to do, and that's true. But when we look through this inventory, it's amazing what we already do have in offering our kids. And for me personally, in my family, I wish my kids would slow down. There's an event and a sport and activity that's year-round for our kids. So I'm kind of perplexed we don't have anything for kids to do because my kids are busier than I am. Some of the other things, continuing to work with the city on future downtown planning. And then quality of life is a component of this. And there's been a group who's assessing the at-risk populations and helping to prioritize those needs in moving forward. So I want to leave with this quote. It's something I actually came across this week, but to me, it epitomizes what Envision Mineral Wells is and kind of where we're at. But it's a quote by Henry Ford, and it says, "Coming together is a beginning." And so that took place in September of 2015. The next part of that is keeping together is progress, and that's where we are. It's been interesting to see, and I think that's been one of our challenges, is working together. And it's not just isolated to Mineral Wells. We see it, in our state of affairs and politics, in the state as well as around the country. We see it in this community. We see it in our jobs. We see it in our families. But keeping together is progress, and how important it is for us to continue to work together as a community to move Mineral Wells forward so that it sustains and attracts business. And the third component is working together is success. That's where it's achieved, is when we do things where we come together and we slowly build through this and work through this plan. And this plan isn't going to happen overnight. It's a 15 to 20 year plan. So we have to stay focused, we have to stay determined, and we have to persevere. And so this will be a quote that gets put on a sticky note that sticks on my computer that I get to look at every day, that will help me to encourage you, the community, to work together to build it so they will come. So, that is all I have. Before we dismiss, I would like to ask Mayor Mike Allen to come and just leave us and close us for the day. As soon as he's done, we are dismissed, and I just want to thank everybody for coming and being interested about what's going on in downtown Mineral Wells, because there's a lot of things happening